So this is how it starts, not with a press conference, not with a headline trade, but with a photo, a single image, blurry in the background of postgame chaos, jersey swapped, lights blazing, fans screaming. Yet there, in the shadows of it all, stood a woman who just might be orchestrating the biggest power shift in WNBA history. While everyone's eyes were glued to Caitlin Clark chatting up the New York Liberty, the real game was being played a few feet away. That woman, Kaine, Clark's agent, not a coach, not a player, but arguably the most dangerous piece on the board. And make no mistake, her being there wasn't an accident. That photo wasn't a coincidence. It was a chess move, a shot across the bow to every front office in the WNBA. What you're about to hear isn't rumor. It's not tabloid fluff. It's the blueprint for a revolution, one engineered with precision and backed by power, patience, and a whole lot of pressure. And if it unfolds the way we think it might, the WNBA may never be the same again. Now, let's peel back the curtain. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that's been building all season in Indiana. The Caitlin Clark experiment, it's cracking. And not just from the weight of expectations. No, it's deeper than that. It's physical, it's philosophical, it's personal. Clark, known for her Iron Woman durability in college, has already missed 10 games. That's 10 more than anyone expected. 5 for a left quad, 5 for a groin strain. And during one of those moments, she sat on the bench, face buried in a towel, tears welling up, and the cameras caught it all. But what made it worse wasn't the injury. It was the aftermath. Her own coach, Stephanie White, brushed it off in the postgame, said Clark was feeling a little something in her groin. A little something? That's what you say when someone has a cramp, not when your franchise star is visibly in pain. And that phrase, that casual dismissal, became gasoline on a fire that was already burning in the Fever locker room. Because here's the thing. Words matter, especially in a league fighting for legitimacy. And when the person responsible for protecting your $75 million investment in Caitlin Clark minimizes her pain, it creates more than a misunderstanding. It builds resentment. It makes the player question everything. And more importantly, it gives the agent, Kaine, every reason to act. This isn't just about health. It's about trust. And when that trust starts to erode, when players feel like their bodies are being sacrificed for short-term wins, the calls to agents aren't about endorsements anymore. They're about escape plans. Clark didn't have to demand anything in public. She didn't have to tweet. All she had to do was let her agent show up in that tunnel. And that's exactly what happened. But it wasn't just physical strain pushing things to the edge. It was tactical frustration. And if you follow Clark's career, you know one thing for sure. She thrives with the ball in her hands. That's her magic. That's her identity. She's not just a shooter. She's a creator, a facilitator, a floor general. So when she publicly states, "I think we need to do a better job of getting me the ball in transition," that's not a throwaway line. That's a cry for help. That's a superstar telling the world her coach is holding her back. And the coach's response? Stephanie White doubled down, saying she prefers having 2 ball handlers on the floor and doesn't want Clark to be under duress for 94 feet. Sounds noble until you realize it contradicts what Clark just said. She wants a ball. She wants space. She wants freedom. And she's not getting it. That's not strategy. That's sabotage in slow motion. Now let's go back to that image. Caitlin Clark, surrounded by Liberty royalty. Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, Sandy Brondello. All smiles, all eyes, all ears. And in the middle, Kaine. That was no casual post-game catch-up. That was a power move, staged like theater, performed for the cameras, meant to send a message, not to fans, not to opponents, but to the Indiana Fever front office. Time is ticking. You got the biggest star in women's basketball history, and you're fumbling the bag. The WNBA is a league built on narrative, and this one's explosive. Kaine didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her presence was a statement. And trust us, every exec across the league heard it loud and clear, because here's where it gets deadly. Kaine isn't just managing Caitlin Clark's brand. She's reshaping the rules that govern every player in the WNBA. While most of the league's media scrambles to analyze rotations and box scores, Kaine is playing a different game. She's leveraging the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. For those not in the know, the CBA is the WNBA's constitution. It determines how contracts work, how trades are structured, how long a team can control a player. And guess what? The old one has been tossed. The league and players union are negotiating a new one right now, and Kaine is smack in the middle of it. That's not by accident. That's by design. Because this negotiation, it isn't just about salaries. It's about power. Critics will say Caitlin Clark can't do anything. She's locked into a rookie deal until 2028. And even then, she'd be a restricted free agent. But that's rookie thinking. That's checkers. Kaine is playing chess. She's not trying to break the rules. She's trying to rewrite them. Imagine being the players' union, sitting at the bargaining table, and knowing the most marketable star in league history is miserable. That's not a problem. It's a weapon. Kaine can argue that rookies need more freedom, that the current system cages stars, that there should be new mechanisms for player movement. Maybe it's a trade clause. Maybe it's accelerated free agency. Whatever it is, it would benefit Clark, and it would shift the entire balance of power in the WNBA. And the timing? Oh, it couldn't be more perfect or more dangerous, because looming just over the horizon is what insiders are calling the 2026 apocalypse. Nearly 87.5% of this season's WNBA All-Stars will become unrestricted free agents that year. You heard that right. Almost 9 out of every 10. That means, for the first time in league history, the players hold all the cards. No matching rights, no trade blocks, pure freedom. Super teams could be formed in days. Dynasties could collapse overnight. And here's Caitlin Clark and Erin Kaine, already maneuvering 2 years ahead of the storm. They're not waiting for it. They're setting it. The Clark situation is no longer just a saga. It's a prototype. Let that sink in. If Kaine pulls this off, if she uses Clark's friction in Indiana to influence the CBA, then every other star in the WNBA benefits. She's not just advocating for one player. She's building a new structure, a system where players, not teams, make the decisions, where contracts don't become cages. And it all starts with this moment, with this player, with this tunnel photo that shook the league without a single word being spoken. If that's not revolution, what is? And here's where the master plan truly begins to unfold. Not as a one-off incident, not as a coincidence, but as a first calculated step in a high-stakes campaign to reset the power dynamic in professional women's basketball. Erin Kaine isn't waiting for the system to accommodate her client. She's forcing the system to bend before it breaks. With Clark's name now synonymous with ticket sales, jersey revenue, national television ratings, and overall WNBA relevance, Kaine has the ultimate bargaining chip. She doesn't need a war of words. She has leverage, real leverage, and the image in that tunnel, it was the opening salvo, a signal not just to Indiana, but to the entire league. We're not asking for change. We're demanding it. Think about the landscape. The WNBA, for all its recent growth, is still at a critical juncture. It's a league in the middle of an identity crisis, balancing the old guard with a new wave of talent, trying to grow commercially without losing its soul. And right now, Caitlin Clark is the face of that growth. So when her situation sours, when her health is mismanaged, when her role in the court is questioned, when her stardom is stifled, it's not just a fever problem. It's a lead problem, one that can't be swept under the rug. Kaine knows this, and instead of going nuclear through the media, she's doing something far more effective. She's making Clark's dissatisfaction part of the league's internal negotiations, because what happens behind closed doors often shapes what we see on the court. And this CBA, the one being hammered out in real time, could redefine the next decade of the WNBA. That's not exaggeration. That's fact. We're talking about the potential for shorter rookie deals, about earlier opt-outs, about new paths to movement and agency. And Kaine's fingerprints are all over it, not in headlines, but in influence, in meetings, in whispers, in the kind of structural change that starts with one name and ripples through a generation. But let's not forget the emotional core of this story, because at the heart of all this strategy, all this political maneuvering, is a young woman who just wanted to hoop. Caitlin Clark came into the league ready to shine. She didn't come to start a war. But when you're that good, when your presence alone shifts ratings, draws national media, and makes executives sweat, you don't get to play small. The league made her its centerpiece. Now she's demanding to be treated like one. And when the system falls short, well, that's where Erin Kaine comes in. Because Kaine's not just protecting a client, she's protecting a legacy. And this legacy, It's not just about wins and losses. It's about what Clark represents. A new era, a commercial explosion, a moment when the WNBA went from niche to national. So when Clark gets sidelined, when she gets minimized, when her voice isn't echoed by her team, fans notice, sponsors notice, broadcasters notice. And Erin Kaine knows exactly how to capitalize on that. She's not asking for permission. She's using the public's attention as fuel. And with the league under a microscope, she's betting the WNBA will blink first. Now, fast forward to 2026, the Great Reckoning. That's the year the floodgates open. Nearly 90% of all-stars becoming free agents? That's not a statistic. That's an earthquake. And if Kaine succeeds in rewriting even a small part of the CBA by then, the entire league could be transformed. Players choosing destinations based on fit, market, and vision, not contract traps. Imagine a WNBA where mobility is a feature, not a privilege. Where Caitlin Clark's career trajectory becomes a new norm, not the outlier. That's not fantasy. It's the direction Kaine is pulling everything toward. And it all started with a groin injury and a photograph. Because this isn't about rebellion. It's about evolution. The WNBA has been waiting for a moment like this, one that forces it to confront its outdated structures and rebuild them for a modern era. Clark is a lightning rod. Kaine is a conductor. And every other star in the league, they're watching. Some with hope, others with fear. But all with the understanding that the game is changing right beneath their feet. And let's be real, Indiana, they're in a no-win situation. If they ignore Clark's frustrations, they risk alienating not just her, but every future star who considers signing with the franchise. If they fight back, they look petty, rigid, and blind to the future. And if they comply, if they renegotiate, revamp their system, or, God forbid, explore trade scenarios, then they lose face. Either way, Kaine has the leverage, and she's using it masterfully. Because even if a trade isn't on the immediate horizon, the idea of one is now alive. That alone creates pressure. It shifts locker room dynamics. It impacts coaching decisions. It alters how front offices plan their rosters. All from one meeting in a tunnel. That's the power of narrative. That's the power of optics. And that's the kind of pressure only someone like Kaine can orchestrate without ever lifting a mic. And don't sleep on the Liberty, because their role in the story is just beginning. Sabrina Ionescu, Breanna Stewart, Sandy Brondello, they weren't just chatting, they were auditioning, recruiting, pitching a vision of a basketball utopia where Clark is used correctly, celebrated publicly, and positioned to win championships. And with New York's resources, exposure, and established talent, the fit isn't just tempting, it's nearly irresistible. So ask yourself, what happens when the most influential agent in women's basketball starts flexing her influence during the most pivotal CBA talks in league history, while the most marketable player is left frustrated on a team that doesn't seem to know what to do with her? You get a perfect storm, one that's already forming. And when it hits, the WNBA will either emerge stronger, bolder, and more player-centric, or to be left scrambling, reactive, and stuck in a system that's already obsolete. And that's the genius of Kaine's plan. She doesn't need a villain. She doesn't need to make threats. Because all she needs is momentum. And right now, she has it. Every news cycle, every tweet, every camera pan to Clark's facial expressions during timeouts. It all adds up. It creates urgency. It creates headlines. And most importantly, it creates pressure on the league's most vulnerable pressure points. So what comes next? That depends on how fast the league is willing to adapt. Will they embrace the star-driven future that's knocking on their door? Or will they double down on control and tradition, only to watch their brightest light fade away? Or worse, light up another team's skyline? Either way, the clock is ticking. The CBA is being written, the stars are aligning, and Erin Kaine is already 10 moves ahead. And when that final move comes, whether the blockbuster trade, a radical CBA clause, or a new era of superstar mobility, don't say it came out of nowhere, because it started here with a single image, a shadow in the tunnel, and the silent thunder of a revolution already in motion. This is the blueprint. This is a warning. And this is just the beginning. So how does it end? What's the play? Well, let's lay it out. Step 1 was a public display. The photo, the whispers, the unrest. Step 2 is the quiet, relentless grind behind closed doors. Bargaining, negotiating, rewriting the rulebook. And step 3? That's the checkmate. Indiana will eventually be faced with a choice. Fight a losing PR war against the league's biggest star. Or give in, trade her, relent, or worse, watch her walk when the new rules make it possible. The final move may not come today or next season, but it's coming. And when it does, it won't be about where Clark goes, it'll be about who made it happen. Erin Kaine isn't just an agent. She's the engineer of a new WNBA. She saw the fractures in Indiana. She saw the timing of the CBA. She saw the gathering storm of 2026. And she put all the pieces together. That's not strategy, that's mastery. And now, the rest of the league is on notice, because Caitlin Clark's situation isn't just news. It's the opening scene of a basketball revolution. So what do you think? Is this the smartest power play we've ever seen in women's basketball? Or is Caitlin Clark walking a dangerous tightrope she may not be able to come back from? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, this story is far from over. Subscribe now, hit that bell, and buckle up, because the WNBA is changing before our eyes. And we're here for every twist, every turn, and every game-changing moment.